Nuno and João are partners from the Walking Mentorship, and they bring the inside look in the life of the people they walk with. The podcast Keep Walking With Me searches for potential solutions towards the best version of ourselves. Every month, we walk together with a guest. There is a disclaimer that needs to be shared. After listening to this program, you might feel the urge to step outside and go for a long walk. But don't worry, that is absolutely normal.
Welcome to the podcast Keep Walking With Me. Today, we have a very special guest walking and talking with us. So let's start by learning, in a nutshell, who is Anni Townend?
Thank you, Nuno. Thank you, João, for inviting me, Anni Townend, to walk with you. I'm Anni. I haven't always been called Anni, but I've always been called Townend. Up until I was 18 years old, I was called Anne, and I spent a lot of time explaining to people that I was Anne with an E. And then a friend who was traveling at the time sent me a postcard, and on this postcard they had written Annie, spelt A-N-N-I. So I have spent, because I loved it, I thought, that's who I am. I'm Annie. And I've been Annie ever since. But as you know, Nuno, I have spent the rest of my life explaining to people that I am Annie without an E.
Exactly. that is funny, actually, because just yesterday I made that mistake. And actually, I knew your name was Annie, just with an I. No E,
yes.
But then, I mean, we just go for the usual, and it's that's so interesting, and so interesting that you feel your identity, because that's what I heard, that's what I felt from your answer, and that's we find so many people that after many years in life still are kind of trying to find that out, and it's interesting that at 18 years old, you figured that out. Good for you.
Well, thank you. And it's become part of who I am, Anni Townend. Both my daughters, my partner and our daughters, are called Townend. They have my last name. And one of the things that I've incorporated into my work is inviting people to introduce themselves through their name. And this is something maybe both of you do, but what I've found is there is so much in a name. It may be a name that somebody was given when they were born with a particular meaning. There may be a number of pronunciations of a name and how important it is to the person. It may be a family name that's been handed down of a remembered person, or as in the case of my partner, his last name is one which was picked from a phone book. It's not the family name because they fled from Eastern Europe many years ago. So I'm very much in mind of the crisis that we're in at the moment, that you, João, I have noticed speaking to, particularly on LinkedIn as well, but how important identity is, and how we have a story that we can tell of who we are and where we came from through our names.
Indeed. Well, indeed, Annie, and thank you for your words. I guess that throughout our walk, most likely we'll come back a few times to the first question, which is, who is Anni Townend? But probably we'll continue our conversation, and maybe I'll start by asking you that something that actually might be related with what you just said a few minutes ago. I mean, you have been working as an executive coach for over 25 years. I mean, you are a leadership consultant, You are a facilitator, an entrepreneur, and so many other things. What do you think is a good definition of leadership? And in your opinion, what are good examples of leadership in our society at large?
Joe, that is a big question.
It is.
And interestingly, you described me as a leadership consultant and executive coach, entrepreneur, and indeed a podcast host like yourselves. I started to describe myself as a leadership partner because in my work with leaders, I partner with them. And there are two questions, one of which you've already asked, that I think good leaders looking to be even more great in their leadership are able to answer. And the first question is the one you asked me: who are you? And for me, this is about they know what they stand for, their values, their beliefs. In my leadership, I stand for kindness, courage, and generosity. And those three values, I know when I'm at my best, they shine through my behavior. And I partner with leaders who know that it's important to be clear about who they are and what they stand for, and who are open to getting feedback, to be acknowledged for when they bring what they stand for through their behavior. It's one thing to say, you know, I stand for kindness, and it's important for me to be open to feedback where maybe some unintended behavior impacts on someone in a way that perhaps they don't experience me as being kind. So I think a good leader is open to feedback, particularly feedback about impact. The other question that I think good leaders look to answer is, why are they here? What is the difference that they want to make through their leadership? And to think big about that, to think about what is their contribution. And in order to realize that, to have people around them who are part of, who's shared why they're here, is part of why we are all here, and to have that conversation. So two questions. Good leaders, I believe, are willing to answer and know are important. Who are you and why are you here?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That leaves us some food for thought, I think, because that's a very deep answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me to talk about that, which is important.
Well, Annie, let's lighten up a little bit our conversation and talk about something we the three of us love, which is walking and walking in nature.
Absolutely.
This has been a part of your practice as a coach. What is it that you see or you sense or you feel that is different in doing your facilitation while walking instead of in a more traditional office or regular setting?
You're right, Nuno. I've incorporated walking, the walk and talk, into my one-to-one work and into working with executive teams. And this is because I believe very much in not only the power of talking and of conversation, but the power of walking and of moving through things, of the connection between walking and thinking, and of moving through sometimes difficult challenges, that we can support each other in what I think of as a side-by-side conversation. I remember some of the conversations that I had with my daughters that were some of the best conversations have been when we've been side by side walking together, but also when we've been moving, for example, sitting in a car together and being side by side, but walking in nature. My father used to describe walking is my medicine. For me, I describe it as walking is my meditation. For me, walking, stopping, pausing, which is what I'm doing now, and taking a deep breath and then moving on is a really important part of thinking and of having conversations, of having open conversations. For many years, I worked in an office one-to-one with people, and then I realized that there was a real joy, a profound joy to be had from incorporating my passion for walking, and walking being my meditation, with talking with clients. And people seek me out now. They know that that is part of what I offer, and that working with me in teams, I've got a reputation for never using slides. So when people come into the room, there will be a circle of chairs, and there will be, because people will have heard about the way in which I work, which will be choose somebody to have this conversation with, and people will pair up and go and build their relationship and have a conversation. And I'll remind them to look around them, to look up, to look down, to stop, to pause. And sometimes I might even give them a question and invite them to be open to nature, helping them answer that question.
Wonderful.
It's so inspiring what you just said, because, and you mentioned specifically the aspect of talking to someone and being open, and this is definitely at the core of what we mutually do. And really, it's such a simple but also powerful approach.
Indeed, I was Annie, I was listening and thinking that when there's some distance between people, and quite often trust is not there because there was no time to build that trust. We often hear actually this feedback in our walking mentorship programs, which is people mentioning that when you are walking side by side with someone, and I mean, talking about your daughters, I just thought about that. I mean, when you, such a simple event such as bumping your shoulder against someone else's shoulder, it just sounds that a million walls just were tear down, and they just disappear, because you just realize it's only humans. We try to walk straight, but quite often we go sideways, and once you bump against each other's shoulders, I mean, of course, can be odd at first, but then you understand. Maybe there is no reason for that skepticism sometimes, or lack of trust. But actually, one of the things that can really help us to quite often build bridges among us, it's music, because it can explain so many things that words or formal speeches fall short. So, Annie, maybe this is a good time to invite you to share with us a first song, and maybe explain why did you went for that option.
For sure. Well, you both know that I struggled to choose any piece of music, and so I sought help from my family, and I asked both of my daughters, my partner, and my very elderly mother
And you've all been brilliant.
Well, exactly. They've helped me. And I asked them, why did you choose that particular piece of music? Not only because it's one I have listened to and love, but also because it says something about me. So my first piece of music is Joni Mitchell, Big Yellow Taxi. And the reason I love this is that when I first heard Joni Mitchell many, many years ago sing this, I had never heard anybody sing like that. I'd been brought up very much in a classical music tradition. I'd never heard women sing and use their voices. And as I re-listen to this piece of music, I'm reminded of a phrase that Vanessa Redgrave used at a presentation ceremony, where she said, "Find your truth and your voice will follow." And I really believe that Big Yellow Taxi is Joni Mitchell finding her truth, and her voice follows beautifully.
Wow. Well, let's jump into this Big Yellow Taxi and enjoy it.
They paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away the DDT now. Give me spots on the apples, or leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I said, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot.
It's really, well, I must say I love this music. It's really, I love the way it's sung, but also the lyrics, what is said. It's so well, I hope our listeners heard, and if they didn't, go back and pay attention to the lyrics. But it is definitely a great song.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, Noon.
Go ahead.
I think we can try to dig into Annie's skills as a podcaster, because they are quite impressive. I mean, Annie, you have been conducting a series of interviews on your podcast, Leaders in Conversation.
Yes.
And I think me and Nunu are very curious to know if there is some lesson or some insight that you see as a pattern across the people you have been talking with. I know this is, again, not an easy one.
Well, there is an easy answer, one of which is that everybody has a story. And I set up the podcast, Leaders in Conversation, to give leaders like yourselves, and João, you have been a guest on my podcast,
Indeed.
to share your story and to inspire others. No matter who you are, where you're from, you have a story. And my main motivation for setting up the podcast is that every week I have the privilege, the honor of hearing leaders share parts of their story. And I wanted to have a platform where leaders could share their story more widely. So I think that's the simple answer, is that everybody has a story, and helping people to tell their story, to make connections between who has inspired them, the experiences that have shaped them become who they are, really matter, and how can they bring their real self to their leadership through allowing more of themselves to be expressed, through owning their story, through feeling confident in who they are and what they do.
Wonderful.
Well, that's definitely a good answer, I would say, because really, when I kind of feel the same way as you, which is when we talk with people like you right now, and on our different podcasts, and even during mentoring sessions, which obviously we cannot share the content, but getting to know people's stories, seeing how much taken all the artificial part away, how we are all just humans trying to do the best we can, and
Definitely.
struggling with our demons or dragons or whatever. It brings us together, and in a way, I think that's where nature kind of kicks in. But let me follow up with a different angle here, which is,
yes.
This is a question I really love, which is, can you share with us a moment where you felt awe? It might have been with someone talking, or with nature, or whatever. It's your choice.
Well, there are many moments, but the two that stand out for me are the moment that I held both of my daughters when I had given birth to them. They were moments of awe that are difficult to describe, because I felt a feeling that I had never felt before. I feel every day awe in the walk that I'm doing with you now. So today, I'm walking in a thick fog, and it's very, very wet. It's not exactly raining, but the trees, the bushes, the ground are covered in drops of water. And today, for me, and it connects with the Joni Mitchell song, I'm grateful that when I return from this walk, I return home. And because I'm so aware that worldwide there are people who set out on a walk and don't know if and when or ever they will return home, I feel this immense gratitude. But I'm also feeling very sad at the moment. And as I look in some awe and wonderment at what I can see, which is not very much, it's as if the trees are covered in tears, because each of the drops are like teardrops on the trees. It's very, very wet, quite cold. And this, as I stand here and just look back, and I'm not able to see where I've come from, but I can see this one bush just to my left, as I say, covered in droplets.
Well, Annie, thank you for your answer, because it paves the ground for our next question, which has been so much present in our minds, especially in the last week, which is looking at the world today. It's, as you said, it's so difficult, but looking at the world today, in what are you planning to focus your energy in the near future? I found that myself this to be a very challenging question to answer. I mean, for myself, for Nuno as well. I mean, we've been, honestly speaking, we've been really struggling with a proper answer, but would be so nice to hear what you think about it.
My answer is very much in mind of working with a team the other day, and the work that we were doing together being even more important. And we were working on collaboration, the importance of working together, of collaborating, of building something which you've already mentioned, João, which is trust, of building trust as part of collaboration, of knowing when to cooperate, when to collaborate, when to coordinate, and each of those things being about trust and building trust, feeling trusted, trusting each other, and building bigger relationships between each other, and sometimes repairing relationships and planning relationships. How can we help each other be our best and do our best work? So for me, my focus and my energy continues to be, how can I help leaders and their teams collaborate to work together even more effectively? And you know, I think both of you, that I work closely with my colleague Lucy, who we've had a conversation with in the past, and together Lucy Kidd and myself have created this framework called the collaboration equation. And it starts with psychological safety. And I know there's a lot of thought, research into this, but the importance of creating safety, of creating the conditions in which difference can be appreciated and worked with, in which we approach conflict as a collaborator, bringing that kind of mindset to our conversations and to enjoying diversity of thought. I'm very passionate about helping leaders get to collaborative edge, and I think now more than ever, collaboration matters. And if I can contribute in that way, in a small way, then that's my hope, that I can do that with others, with both of you, and make a difference.
Well, definitely, that's really something worth thinking about, because of course we kind of feel helpless or powerless to make an impact, but as you just mentioned, if each of us does the best he can, where one has the opportunity to do, then definitely we will be working towards an overall better world. And really, the matter of trust is definitely at the core of the moments, the sad moments we are living. And I can't help but remember, and actually there is a particular situation where we had one participant from Russia and one from Ukraine on a walking mentorship program, and they developed an amazing friendship, and actually they inspired each other and helped each other and are good friends to this day. And I mean, that's if we can build more of those bridges, then definitely things will change, and hopefully they will change. Well, but on a lighter tone, can I invite you to share with us the second song you chose?
Yes, definitely. So the second song is called Come Away With Me by Norah Jones. And this, again, one of my daughters suggested this to me. And this is because I do love going away and being away and coming back home again. So there's something about the invitation to come away with me, to experience somewhere else, to be part of somewhere else. There's nothing I like more than going to work with a client in another country and getting to know that country, that culture through the people who work there, and being part, if only for a short while, of learning about them, about their lives. So Come Away With Me is a wonderful invitation, something I haven't been able to do like everybody else in the last couple of years or so because of the virus, and hope to do again. But meanwhile, I'm very grateful to be where I am and to have been where I am for the past 2 years here in the south of England. So Come Away With Me by Norah Jones.
Well, let's go away with you.
Come away with me in the night. Come away with me and I will write you a song. Come away with me on a bus. Come away where they can't tempt us with their lies. And I want to walk with you on a cloudy day in fields where the yellow grass grows knee high. So won't you try to come away with me, and we'll kiss on a mountain top. Come away with me and I'll never stop loving you.
Now I think it's time to to kick off with a series of unfair questions, Annie. So don't take them too seriously. It's just it's what I like to call the curved balls, but it's
okay.
all answers are perfectly okay. Okay.
You sparked my curiosity, Nuno. So.
Well, we've read in your bio an intriguing sentence. You said that you believe that people can change, but in order to do this, they need people and trust. What do you mean by that?
Well, I do think having somebody to believe in you is really important. And I know that I wouldn't be where I am now if other people hadn't believed in me when my own self-belief was very low. My lack of confidence and uncertainty was huge. However, there were people around me who encouraged me. I love that word, encouraged, and gave me the courage at a time when I was lacking in that belief, that courage to really find what I wanted to do. And that's where I do believe that people can change, become more of themselves, not become somebody else. But I know for myself that I've become more of myself through the encouragement, the belief, the support, the help of others. And that's where I believe people need people. It would have been very hard for me to grow into myself without the support, the nourishment, and the encouragement of others.
Wow. But let me, sorry for that, throw you another curveball. But
excellent, keep them coming.
Annie, do you think we can change people? We can change other people?
No, I don't think we can change other people, but I do think that people can change. And there's a big difference in that, I think, that with help and support and encouragement and challenge, that we can change. I do believe that. But I don't think we can change people. I think we can help other people to change.
I believe change always comes from inside, and
I think so.
But I do agree with you, and I can state that from my own experience. I at a certain point in my life, I was struggling with one of my businesses, and really not managing to move forward. And I hired a coach in those days, and actually forced my coach to step out of just the more strict coaching paper and really going into being kind of almost a mentoring position. And I know that, of course, change had to come from inside, but definitely I wouldn't have managed it alone. So
yes,
I really think you've got a very good point there.
well, that's good to hear. And I think it's that knowing when we need help, and sometimes accepting help when we don't know we need it as well. Sometimes we need help and we don't realize we need help. And it's great that you did realize you needed help, and reached out for it.
Absolutely. And actually on maybe following on that note, we actually believe that no matter the constraints in our life, we kind of have the opportunity to make a masterpiece of it. So, Annie, in your opinion, yes, how can we make a masterpiece of our lives?
gosh. That is a big question.
We told you they were curveballs.
Yeah, that is a curveball. And that's probably one that, given what you said at the beginning, I would need more time to think about. Tell me, both of you, because in asking the question, in coming up with the question, have you come up with an answer, Nuno, João, to that question? Help me out here.
Well, I don't know, Nuno. I'm always delighted to hear the not only the answers to this question, because this is kind of endless question, but also the process we hear of people thinking to go through the answer. I mean, to be honest, I'm not even sure what is the most interesting one, because I think they are both marvelous. But what I really enjoy, among other things like the musics and so on, but there are three questions in our, let's call it Walkcast, that I love it. The first one, I mean, who is the person in a nutshell? I love to hear the answers, because some of the answers are so, I mean, actually, they are really brilliant. And the second one is this one. I mean, how can we make a masterpiece of our lives? I don't know. There was one lady, Miriam Lopez from Spain, that once in our, at least my third favorite question, when she was asked, she replied with a mirror. And why? Because she basically said all the answers are when you look at the mirror.
Yes.
And I don't know if that helps, Annie.
I love that answer. Especially as the mirror, maybe the mirror she held up had a frame. So there you have the sort of traditional masterpiece. I think for me, it's about finding your purpose. Earlier on, you asked me a question about what I would be continuing to focus on. I mentioned the work I'm doing with Lucy Kidd on the collaboration equation, but also having formed, inspired by your good selves, walking partnerships, also with Lucy and our colleague and friend, Natalie Shering, who loves walking. And I feel so grateful to, in my masterpiece that I'm painting, it's a collage made up of many different things. And one of those things is being able to enjoy my passion and share my passion for conversation, for walking, for nature. But there are other things which I'm thinking back to the first song that I chose, the Joni Mitchell one, in which she really talks about being grateful. And I'm immensely grateful that I have living close by to me my 93-year-old mother, who I get to visit every week. And she's part of that picture, if you like, my collage, an important part. So the people around me who support me, who invite me to be part of a conversation like this, both of you, I think I'm very much aware of being in the present, and being in nature helps me to be in the present. So I feel very present with you both, even though we are in different countries. And again, during lockdown, I've incorporated the walk and talk with people far, far away from me, not physically rubbing shoulders, but I've still had the same feeling. So they're also in in what I call my collage, Joe.
I love it. That's so wonderful.
You just reminded me of a participant in one of our, actually a corporate program where we took teams out walking, but actually during the pandemic. So really they had to use, just like we are doing now, they had to use the Zoom or whatever. And one of them said, it's very interesting because I felt I had like the Jiminy Cricket talking on my shoulder, talking on my ear. So it's kind of an interesting and lovely, sweet idea, I think.
Yes, really lovely.
And it's interesting how we can trying to help you with the answer, which I didn't help in the beginning, but somehow when we can be that little voice of conscience, that little capacity to question and to consider new possibilities in someone else's life, we are probably making a masterpiece of our own lives. So but I think we all know this is a question that the answer is never finished. So it will just keep on building that answer as we go. But let me bring you to something, and you already touched this point lightly, Annie, but well, of course, we've been all not able to travel and to move along as we wished to. Well, it was what it was. So, but luckily, things on that front seem to be lightening up. So, but let's think that right now, at this moment, there is absolutely no constraints at all, either external or internal or whatever. If you could embark on any adventure today, what would that be?
That's a lovely question, which immediately the answer that presents itself to me is making this moment. I love the idea of this being a micro adventure. So I'm on it now, you know, with you. So I'm actually walking along a track, which is the shape of it is in the ground, but it's no longer a track. It's in a field. It's been ploughed over, I think, and grazed by many animals. What I love is setting out on each day being a micro adventure, a mini adventure, for want of a better way of describing it. So I'm on one now, Nuno, Joe.
I think you are on to something, Annie. It sounds to me like a secret of youth. That's the way I hear it. But maybe we never know how these things play out. But maybe this is a good time to invite you to share with us a third song, because sometimes music just makes it perfect.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Well, the third song I chose myself, but also chose with my partner, and it is called Because the Night by Patti Smith. And I love the energy of this song, the way in which it has me want to sing, dance, and be part of something bigger than myself. And I love this song. Enjoy.
It is a boost of energy.
It
Lovely.
is.
Let's listen to Patti Smith.
Take me now, baby, here as I am. Pull me close, try and understand. Desire is hunger, is the fire I breathe. Love is a banquet on which we feed. Come on now, try and understand the way I feel when I'm in your head. fast here in our bed until the morning comes. Come on now, try and understand the way I feel under your command. Take my hand as the sun descends. We can touch you now, can touch you now, can touch you now. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to life. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. Without the vicious circle turns and burns. Without you, I cannot live. Forgive the yearning, burning. I believe it's time to real, to feel. So touch me now, touch me now, touch me now. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to life. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. Because tonight there are two lovers that we believe in, the night we trust. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to love. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to life. 'Cause we believe the night we're lovers. 'Cause we believe in the night we're
Wow. Well, Annie, now that we are fully recharged, and which is, by the way, a good feeling, since
It
we
is.
are, and approaching the let's say the end of this specific talk. So it's good to feel full of energy and actually take into perspective the whole walk we did together.
Thank you.
I mean, we know that you live near South Downs National Park, so you have beautiful outdoors at your doorsteps. Can you share with us and maybe identify a great lesson you learn from nature?
I described earlier that walking is my meditation, and walking in nature and being able to see nature from my window is one of those joys for me. It gives me joy. I really love finding nature where you might not expect it as well. And I love how even in a city, through a flagstone, through a hole in the tarmac of the road, you will see nature coming through. And here in the UK, at the moment, in the south of England, the blossom is coming out on the tree, and some of that blossom has stayed on the trees whilst we had a tremendous storm just a week or so ago. And so there's something about nature being there and being very reassuring. And I have learned to respect that hugely. So I've learned respect for nature, for the environment, for taking care of the soil, taking care of the planet, which takes care of us.
Wow. Thank you. And it's so beautiful what you just help us to remind. It's like a reminder that we probably should think about every day after we wake up, and understand that there is this incredible planet, which is really incredible, taking care of us and allowing us to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you both. Thank you, Nuno. Thank you for your questions.
But
Thank you,
hold on,
Joe, for your
we're not still not letting you go. We still have one final question.
Do you have one final
Yes.
question?
Yes, sorry.
Great.
And this one I'm very curious about because we brushed it already.
Great.
But it's just a very simple question. If you had a time capsule,
Yes.
and it would be shot out, well, never mind if it's a bottle thrown into the ocean or shot into the universe, or it's someone is gonna see it or read it or look at it in 1 year or 10 years or tomorrow or a million years, never mind, whatever. But if you had to put a message out to whoever was going to find it, what would you put inside? And it doesn't have to be a message. It can be an object. It can be a message, or just whatever you want to throw out into the universe.
The one I would like to find would be a reminder to myself and to others to be kind, be generous, and be courageous.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for such a strong and powerful message. And I think the order is just that. So it's been really such an honor to walk with you today. And thank you for sharing with us a little perspective of who you are and of how you are contributing to a better world. I'm really at a lack of words to say how grateful I am for what you shared with us today.
Well, Annie, thank you for helping us to become better today by listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nuno. Bye-bye.
Keep Walking with Me. It is a podcast inspired by the Walking Mentorship experience. Step by step, we walk together towards the best version of ourselves. For more information about our mentoring programs, visit our website walkingmentorship.com.